published 1657 est, the 23rd of November 2017, updated 2018 est, the 23rd of November 2017. The scoreline was unforgivable, the manner of the collapse an affront to all those who have served the club with honor and distinction. It was shameful, embarrassing, shambolic. Keep plucking out the negative adjectives and they will all fit. The heaviest defeat Everton have suffered at home in European competition, the narrative of a spineless night wholly in keeping for the way they have played in the Europa League this season. Yet, bizarrely, Everton won Atalanta 5 was not the worst thing about this spineless night. What mattered most was the bewildering situation, the inertia and the lack of direction that has left Everton drifting like a ship without a rudder, lurching further and further off course into a storm. Andreas Cornelius completed the rout as Atalanta smashed Everton 51 at Goodison Park on Thursday night. A Cardiff flop added a late brace after coming on as a substitute to compound the misery for Everton. Robin Gosson scored a spectacular third goal for Atalanta with a left-footed volley that flew in off the foot of the post. Brian Cristante beat Ashley Williams to the bolterhead home and double Atalanta's advantage over Everton on Thursday. Cristante is mobbed by teammates after scoring his second goal of the night at Goodison Park against Everton. Cristante fires home to give Atalanta an early lead over Everton at a half-empty Goodison Park on Thursday night. Cristante is congratulated by his teammates after breaking the deadlock early on in the Europa League clash. Many home fans stayed away with Everton already knocked out of the competition after only 4 fixtures. The 40,157-seater Goodison Park was less than half on Thursday night with only 17,431 in attendance. Everton sacked Ronald Koeman 32 days ago. The failure to appoint a permanent successor in the intervening period, from the botched attempt to recruit Marco Silva to a couple of high-profile rejections, is now having serious, potentially ruinous ramifications. Fahad Moshiri, the club's major shareholder, is the man on whom the spotlight is shining. It is he who is driving the recruitment search, and if his mind has not been focused on the urgency of the situation, he will be guilty of gross negligence. That is down to the board. That is the decision, said Wayne Rooney. Since David Unsworth has come in, there has been a great atmosphere among the players, some positive results. The players are enjoying it. But the board have got a decision to make. I'm sure they're working on it. They better be. There is nothing shocking about stating that Everton have lost because they have been beaten with ease most weeks. This was the 11th defeat in the last 17 matches, the 12th consecutive fixture in which they have failed to keep a clean sheet. But this was part defeat, part submission. No blame can be handed to David Unsworth, the caretaker manager, for a mess left behind by significant others, but he is not being helped by Moshiri's lack of decisiveness, and if it continues Everton's plight will become all the more perilous. Captain on the night Wayne Rooney embraces caretaker boss David Unsworth on the touchline ahead of kick-off. Atalanta goalkeeper Etrit Berisha receives some support from a teammate after suffering an early injury in the first half. Everton midfielder Tom Davies takes the ball upfield beyond Atalanta's Martin de Roon. During the early stages of the game, Dutch midfielder Davy Klaassen was handed a rare starting opportunity following his summer move from Ajax. Everton winger Kevin Morales falls to the ground as he grapples with Atalanta's Remo Freuler on Thursday night. If ever a scene reflected the current mood of a club, this was it. Goodison was empty, rafts and rafts of blue seats indicating how switched off the fan base has become on the back of a campaign that drained the spirits and sapped the soul. I know there wasn't anything riding on the game, but we had paying Evertonians here and I stressed we had to compete, said Unsworth, his teeth grinding as he faced a post-match inquisition. The manner we capitulated just isn't acceptable, and the players know that. That Atalanta were the opposition was, in some ways, fitting. It was in September when the Italians stripped Everton bare in a 30 defeat in the opening Group E game that rang alarm bells about the situation that was threatening to unfold. Everton have not recovered from the chastening evening. Europe was supposed to provide proof of the progress they were making as a club, but, instead, it has become an absolute inconvenience, and a return of 1 point from the first 4 games has been a cause for embarrassment. Unsworth may have urged the squad to restore some pride and provide some encouragement to those who had ventured out on a filthy evening. It was also a chance for those who have struggled for confidence to lift themselves from the doldrums. Rooney attempts to find a teammate with a long ball during Everton's clash with the Serie A opponents. Everton striker Sandro Ramirez keeps a close eye on Atalanta's José Luis Palomino during the first period at Goodison Park. Atalanta's Timothy Castagne flies into a challenge against Everton back Cuco Martina in the opening 45 minutes. Everton youngster Benny Banningham was handed a chance to impress in Thursday night's Europa League. Dead rubber Cristante waves to the travelling Atalanta supporters after his earliest strike gave them the lead after 12 minutes. 17,431 Everton's lowest attendance at Goodison Park since 15,293. Toffees turned out to the side crashed to a 21 defeat by Wimbledon in third round of the FA Cup in 1993, but what did he get? Nothing. Just the same dross on a different day. No matter how many times Unsworth throws the squad names up in the air, no matter how many ways he tinkers with the lineup, the lack of pace and belief continues to betray them. Within 13 minutes, they were behind. It was well executed. Timothy Castagne scuttling down the right flank and jinking away from Cuco Martina before crossing into the centre. Ashley Williams tried to clear, but he only found Brian Cristante, who thumped his finish beyond Joel Robles. A closer examination of the move, however, magnified many faults. What has happened to Michael Keane? He was hoodwinked far too easily by the marauding Castagne. Where was the desire to throw a body in the way? The midfield simply let him drift into a position to inflict damage. The teams we are playing against aren't having to work very hard. They are not scoring wonder goals, said Unsworth. They are really poor defensive goals. I asked the players to make it difficult for me to leave them out at the weekend. They have actually made it easy. Everton defender Ashley Williams has his hands on his head after his side failed to keep a clean sheet once again. Davies had a goal-bound effort cleared off the line by Rafael Toloi as Everton fought to get back into the game. Things went from bad to worse for the hosts when Williams fouled Cristante inside the penalty area. Papu Gomez saw his penalty easily saved by Joel Robles to keep Everton in the contest just after half-time. Everton goalkeeper Robles was then quick to fly out and save Gomez' attempt at scoring on the rebound. There was no booing, no murmuring at half-time. Just acceptance. Everton had some chances before the interval, the best falling to Tom Davies and Sandro Ramirez, but really, it was hard to argue that parity would have been deserved. After the break, they ended up on the end of the pummeling that always seemed likely. Alejandro Gomez saw a penalty saved by Robles after Cristante, a constant menace who had a header cleared off the line by John Joe Kenny, had been chopped down by Williams. Cristante deservedly doubled Atalanta's advantage in the 64th minute, sneaking in between Williams and Davies to glance a header into the Park end net. For Sandro drilled in his first goal since his £5 million arrival from Malaga, but even then, there was no consolation to be had. Everton did what Everton do and collapsed in the dying moments, allowing substitutes Robin Gosens and Andreas Cornelius, once of Cardiff City, to score in the 86th, 87th and 90th minutes. It was an embarrassment to a club that prides itself on fighting. Yet the fight is no longer there and the onus, ultimately, falls on Moshiri. He must find a manager, he must provide direction. If he doesn't, he will come understand what a tempest really is. Ramirez scores his first goal for Everton, but it proved little more than a consolation as the hosts were humbled. Robin Gosens celebrates with teammate Timothy Castagne after scoring a decisive third goal late on for the Italians. The travelling away supporters enjoyed their superiority over Everton as they sealed qualification to the last 32 over 4 years after joining Cardiff. Danish international Cornelius celebrates scoring his first goal in England. Wayne Rooney trudges off the pitch after another horror show from Everton continued their miserable European campaign.